The topic I will be discussing is teenage father involvement, getting and keeping fathers involved. Having father involvement has been found to be very beneficial for children, so it is very important to encourage teenage fathers to get involved and stay involved with their children. Teen fathers are faced with multiple barriers that may keep them from being involved with their children, which I will go into a little more detail in the presentation. When working with teenage fathers, it is important to look at the best avenues to engage teenage fathers with their children, due to where they are developmentally, as well as the experience they may have had in their lives. This presentation will look at the barriers to teenage father involvement and also ways in which community programs can be developed to help involve teenage fathers and keep them involved. I want to first start with this quote that was found by Bunting and McAuley. While relationships between fathers, teenage mothers, and their children appear prone to deterioration over time, there is in-depth research that suggests that many young fathers genuinely want to be involved with their children and would have more contact and input if they could. I think this quote really demonstrates how teenage fathers really feel about being fathers, as well as how much they want to be involved in their children's lives. It is important to remember that when teenage parents are no longer romantically linked, the teenage fathers do still want to be involved with their children's lives. It is also important to encourage the relationship between the father and the child, and also it is important to help the teenage mother and father develop positive communication skills for the child's sake and well-being. I wanted to give you some statistics on teenage father involvement. There are approximately 750,000 teenage pregnancies occurring each year in the United States. 4 out of 5 of the babies born to teen mothers are born outside of marriage. Research has shown that there is a negative relationship between having a teenage father and a child's cognitive and behavior scores at age 2, with 1/3 of teenage fathers no longer being involved by the time the child is 5. I think these are some statistics that really show how important it is to try and really get fathers involved and keep them involved. And we need to educate teenage fathers on what it means to be a father and how to be a positive role model for their child. I want to share a quote with you from an actual teenage father on his view of becoming a father. One day, all I was worried about was getting my homework done, playing sports with my buddies, and dating girls. Then, the next thing I knew, I was about to become a father, and I was just a kid myself. I never thought about this fatherhood stuff before, and then it really hit me how important the job is. I think this quote really illustrates how teenage fathers feel about becoming fathers and that it is an important job being part of their child's life. It is interesting how they kind of bring in the development piece, how he brings in the development piece about being a kid and how he never really thought about fatherhood because he is younger and that was not something that he probably really viewed as happening to him at such an early age. It can be really overwhelming for both the mother and father when they find out that they are about to be parents. Um, Being a teenage parent is a huge transition for both parents, but that is not how it is always viewed in our society. Generally, who is thought to be responsible to care for the child and to always be there for the child? The teenage mother. That is who we typically think about when teenage pregnancy comes to mind. But in reality, we really need to be looking at both parents being involved and needed to help raise this child. I've had the opportunity to work with a wide variety of teenage mothers who have had various degrees of father involvement for their children. I have had some families where there is no contact really with the father. The mother may only know the first name of the father, and there is really no contact with the father. Then I have had cases where the teenage father continues on with school and sports and getting a job and gets a new girlfriend and really is not there for the baby at all. And then I have had families where the father has been there from the beginning and is involved But over time, due to maybe not having that relationship with the mom anymore, or continuing with school or getting a job, they are no longer as involved with their children. With such a wide array of teenage father involvement, it is important to look at why father involvement is so important. There are positive child outcomes as well as benefits for the teenage mother. In regards to the child outcomes, studies have shown that when the father is involved with the child, there are less issues with behavior problems, and the child tends to do better academically as well as socially. Some research has even shown that there is little difference in attitudes regarding parenting between the teenage father and the adult father. In one study, it was found that adolescent fathers felt more attached to their child in regards to talking and thinking about their child compared to the adult fathers. But it was also found that the teenage fathers have more negative attitudes about fatherhood and were less likely to report being better than average parents compared to adult fathers. This study shows how self-esteem can play a role with being a teenage father. In regards to mother's well-being, um, it's important to look at like even depression. And in one study, in fact, it was found that 30% of white and 40% of black teenage mothers are depressed. With those kinds of statistics, it is important to address the mother's positive well-being and how the father may play a role in that. In regards to teenage mothers, it was also found that they have less stress if the father is involved, which allows them to have more positive parenting skills. They also had an increase in self-esteem, which helped them also with their parenting. The support from the father during the prenatal period has been found to help mothers attend their prenatal appointments due to that extra support, as well as reducing certain harmful behaviors like smoking and drinking. With there being so many benefits of having the teenage father involved with both the mother and the child, why are they still so reluctant to be involved? Let's look at the developmental angle. Developmentally, the teenage years are a time when teenagers are changing biologically, cognitively, and socially, which will determine how they will enter the adult world. This is when they are trying to figure out who they are, what they want to do with their lives, and being a teenage parent adds another layer in which they have to try and figure out how this is going to work with them becoming adults. One researcher stated that teenage fathers have not yet developed the ability to cope with parenthood due to where they are developmentally. We also need to look at the maturity level. It has been found that teenage fathers are less mature than adult fathers, which has caused them to be unsure about their role as a father. With this kind of uncertainty, it makes it hard for them to really know what their place is in their child's life. There are some more reasons why the father may be reluctant to be involved with a child, including limited parenting knowledge, less education, and more financial struggles. In regards to the limited parenting knowledge, due to their age, teenage fathers really do have limited knowledge about what it is like to be a father, as well as a lack of child development knowledge. If they don't know what it means to be a father and they don't know what to expect developmentally from their child, they may be less likely to be involved with their child. Typically, teenage fathers are still in high school, and many times, like the teenage mothers, they may drop out of school to help take care of the baby, or they may be having other issues in the home that they cannot continue with their education. Teenage fathers are also more likely to have lower paying jobs and not having much work experience, which can impact their ability to take care of their child. If they're not bringing in a lot of income, they're not going to be able to take care of their child financially. Many teenage fathers feel like they are not being successful as a parent if they are not able to take care of their child financially. There are many barriers for teenage fathers in finding jobs and providing that financial support that include transportation and lack of work opportunities. Mothers may also struggle with some of the same issues like limited education, parenting knowledge, and income, but in our society it is believed to be more the mom's responsibility than the father's. Other reasons why the teenage father may be reluctant to be involved revolve around the relationships with the mother as well as the relationships with the maternal and paternal grandmothers. In regards to the relationships with the mother, if the mother and father have a stressed relationship, research has shown that mother will be less likely to allow the father to be involved. Other research has shown that the perception that the mother has about the father and how they deal with conflict prior to the birth of the baby may influence how much the father is involved. If the mother has feelings of low satisfaction and has a low desire for him to be involved, she's more likely to set stringent boundaries involving his relationship and involvement with his child. So she will probably make it more difficult for him to be involved with his child. If the mother and father have unrealistic expectations about their parenting responsibilities, this may also lead to a strained relationship. The mother can sometimes be seen as the gatekeeper, in that if she does not like what the father is doing or just like the father in general, she is less likely to let him be involved with the baby or the child. In regards to the relationship with the maternal grandmother, it has been found that if the maternal grandmother felt that the teenage fathers were immature or unpredictable, it would cause the maternal grandmothers to have a difficult time in accepting the teenage father in the child's life. And also, the maternal grandmother has quite an influence on the mother on whether or not the father will be involved. If she doesn't like the father, then the mother will probably be less likely to let him be involved. It is interesting to note that if the paternal grandmother is accepting of the pregnancy, the father is more likely to be involved. So it is important to keep that relationship as strong as possible to encourage the father to be more involved with his child. I just wanted to briefly discuss the current belief on teenage pregnancy in regards to whose responsibility it is to take care of the child and what sort of resources are available to teenage parents out there. It is still seen that it is the teenage mother who is responsible for the child. Fathers can continue to be a teenager while teenage mothers will have to give up much of their teenage lives. They will be more likely to drop out of school, and they will tend to be the ones that are with the baby more so than the fathers. In regards to the teen parenting programs, many of these programs are still geared more towards teenage mothers, so the fathers may feel that they do not have a place in the teenage pregnancy program. So, how can we change the current beliefs and viewpoints in our society regarding teenage father involvement? What can our society, i.e., community programs, family, what can we do to help? Let's look at how community programs can help increase teenage father involvement. Here are some ways in which the community can help increase the father involvement for teenage fathers. These areas include encourage, educate, communicate, involve, mentor, and praise. There really needs to be more of an emphasis on the father involvement and work on removing the barriers that keep the father from being involved. Right now, the focus is primarily on the teenage mother and her relationship as she tends to be the primary caregiver for the child. But there needs to be a shift in this mindset and focus more on them working together as partners and both being important for the child to be involved in the child's life. The more we encourage the father involvement, the more likely the child will have positive outcomes in life. Community programs need to focus on father involvement more intently, and so right now we will look at each of these areas to see what we can do to encourage that father involvement. The first area we will look at is encourage. Many teenage fathers see the responsibility of raising a child being that of the mother, so it is critical to change this mindset so fathers can see how important it is to have fathers involved. It is also important to see where the fathers are coming from in regards to how they were raised, as many of them have limited or no positive father role models. Many teenage fathers do not know what it means to be a good father. It is important to talk with them about how they were raised and how they would like to raise their children, and talk to them about what it means to be a good father. In the end, just encouraging them to get involved is helpful, as many fathers want to be involved and want to learn to be good fathers. One researcher found that the support from providers, which included emotional support, was important in helping fathers be successful in parenting their children. That is why it is so important to have more community programs available to teenage fathers to help encourage them to be more involved with their children. The next area we will look at is educate. Education is key in helping teenage fathers be successful as parents. It needs to begin with educating them on being positive role models for their children. If they do not know what it means to be a father, how can they be successful? Like I mentioned in the previous slide, many times teenage fathers have little to no positive male role models in their lives. So how can they know how to be a good father? So educating them on what it means to be a dad is crucial. It also has been found that if fathers were involved prenatally, they were more likely to stay engaged with their children as well as be a support for the mother. It is beneficial then to encourage fathers to attend the prenatal classes so they can learn to support the mom during the pregnancy as well as labor and right after the birth of the baby, and to work on building that relationship with the baby right after the birth. Parenting classes can help educate the parents so they will have realistic expectations on what to expect of their children. It was found that teenage parents can have unrealistic expectations of developmental milestones. So it is important to really give them those realistic expectations so there will be less stress in the family and in the relationships, which can impact the child. It was also found that it was beneficial if both parents attended the classes together so they can learn about child development together and parenting skills and work on the co-parenting that they may be needing to do. If the parents are no longer together, it is important to incorporate co-parenting classes as well so they can learn to positively co-parent in the best interest of the child. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the importance of positive co-parenting. Positive co-parenting is something even adult parents struggle with. So for teenage parents, it can be even more difficult due to where they are developmentally and their lack of knowledge about children and how to actually communicate positively. If the parents are no longer together, it is important to incorporate co-parenting classes so they can learn to positively co-parent for the best interest of the child. It was found that negative co-parenting can cause the child to have issues with negative overall adjustment in life. And this is exactly what we're trying to avoid for all children, especially children of teenage parents. How the parents view the parenting relationship before the birth of the child affects how the parents will co-parent and how likely the father will stay involved. So the more positive co-parenting skills they have, the more likely the father will stay involved with his child after the birth. Communication is crucial in any relationship, and this is especially true for teenage parents as they are learning positive communication skills as they progress into adulthood. It has been found that if teenage parents learn to communicate positively, they are more likely to have positive co-parenting occurring in their relationships, which is what we really are hoping for the child's sake. If teenage parents learn positive ways to communicate, they are more likely to have an easier transition into parenthood. Again, this is making it easier for the children as well as the parents, and the child will have more positive outcome in the end. It is also important that providers foster the teen parents' understanding of life skills and positive relationship skills. This is where the community programs can come into play and really help teach the teenagers how to communicate positively and be able to co-parent if needed if they are no longer in a relationship, and just parent if they are in a relationship, because many times they may have different viewpoints on how they want to parent, and this could help them be able to parent the best to their ability. If at-risk teenage couples can positively stay engaged during conflict, they are more likely to be able to handle parenthood. Was found in one study in 2008. So positive communication skills really plays a role everywhere, even in conflict, and can really have a really good outcome for everyone in the family. The next area we will look at is involved. This includes family, community programs, and peers. It is important to have all the family members who have a direct impact on whether or not and to what extent the father's involvement will be with his child, and to help them foster that relationship between the father and the child. It is important to incorporate the grandparents, especially if the teenage mother is residing with a maternal grandmother and the maternal grandmother has negative feelings and attitudes about the father. It has been shown that if a maternal grandmother is having issues with the father, he is less likely to be involved. This is why we really need to work on fostering the relationship between the maternal grandmother and the father so they can have positive communication, and the father will be more likely to be involved with the child, and the mom will have less stress due to the tension between maternal grandmother and father. Um, in regards to community programs, it would be great to have programs specific for teenage fathers so they could help them get more involved with their children. But also, it is important to have groups that incorporate the mothers so they can work on their co-parenting skills, and if they are still together, just their parenting skills together. In regards to peers, it has been shown to be beneficial to have support groups for teenage fathers so they can learn how other fathers are handling the same issues that they are dealing with. If they see other fathers in the same situation they're going to learn ways to deal with their children. They're going to learn child development, and they're just going to have someone there that understands what's going on and being able to talk to them. One of the last areas we will look at is mentor. There's father mentors and peer mentors. It would be very beneficial to have father mentors for teenage fathers, especially when they have had very limited or no positive uh, father male role models. This way they can learn what it means to be a father. This could help them with feeling more confident at being a father and more likely that the child will have more positive outcomes later in life. Peer mentors also have been found to be helpful for a teenage father as it is someone who is their age and experiencing the same life experiences. The mentors help them feel positive about themselves, that these other teen fathers have done it and that they can do it too. I feel like mentors are an area that we really need to look more into as they are very helpful and they are more likely to help teenage fathers be successful at being fathers and enter into the adult world. Praise is the last area we will look at. Everyone benefits from praise. And in one study, it was found that teenage parents learn more when they are involved in programs that boost positive relationships while working on parenting skills. If we're able to really praise and encourage them on their parenting skills, as well as teaching them the appropriate parenting skills, they will be better parents in the end. Everyone in general does better when they're being praised for their efforts and made to feel good about the kind of parent that they are. We all want to know that we are doing a good job as being parents. Praising the positive interaction will hopefully lead to more positive interactions between the father and child. And that is ultimately what we're looking at, is to have a wonderful positive relationship between the father and the child, as well as the mother, the father, and the child together. Let's look at the key components of teenage father involvement programs that can get and keep fathers involved. Prenatal father involvement, the sooner the better. If we can get teenage fathers involved early on, they're more likely to stay after the birth of the baby. One study found that a mother's prenatal perception of the father and his involvement prenatally dictated how much he would be involved. This is why it's really important to let fathers know that prenatally they need to be there for the mother for support and also during labor, and to be there to build that relationship with the baby right after birth. Investigate the relationship with the mother. Is it positive or negative? If the mother and father have a positive relationship, the father is more likely to be involved. We really want to work towards them having a positive relationship because in the end, that's going to benefit the child. Provide educational opportunities. When teenage fathers are able to be in parenting classes with the mother, they tend to be more invested in their child's life. And also, due to their limited knowledge of child development and parenting skills, education for teenage father will allow them to feel more successful as a parent. We really need to educate them on what is going on developmentally with their child and how they can parent their child positively. And including grandparents. Getting the support of the maternal grandmother is essential in keeping the father involved as well. If she is willing to allow the relationship, the father is more likely to see his child and stay involved with his child long after the birth. Here are some other key components. Realistic developmental expectations. Where is the parent developmentally? Providers need to be more in tune of where the teenage fathers are developmentally and what they are able to do in regards to being a parent. Due to them still going through puberty and still having development going on, they may not be able to make some cognitive decisions that adults would be able to. So providers can be there to assist them to make the decisions to the best of their knowledge and ability. Positive co-parenting, the benefits that last a lifetime. Positive co-parenting skills are beneficial to everyone involved, especially the child. If mom and dad are able to communicate positively, the child is going to learn how to communicate positively and take those skills with them into their adult life and also in their relationships in the future. Counseling. Counseling can help address positive communication, as communication is key in any relationship. It has been found that if teenage parents learn positive communication, they will be more successful as parents. And in one study, it stated that counseling can help the parents separate their relationship from their relationship with the child. So this is crucial when mom and dad are no longer together, yet they still need to co-parent. Counseling can help them realize this is about the child and not about our relationship. And in the end, the child will benefit greatly from this positive communication. Now let's look at some current teenage father involvement programs that are working on getting and keeping teenage fathers involved. The first two were programs I found in my research, and the last two are some local programs in my area. The first one is the 4-H Very Important Parents Program, which worked on healthy youth development with positive skill-based knowledge. The skills that were targeted in the 4-H program were empathy, conflict resolution, communication, goal setting, problem solving, stress management, healthy lifestyle skills, and marketable skills. It was found that teens learn best when they have the ability to connect with others while learning new life skills and building positive relationships. The strong foundation looked more at the cultural adaptation to help engage teenage fathers into teen parent programs and keeping them engaged. This program showed great promise, but they're still researching to see to what extent the impact is for the teenage fathers. Some of the areas covered were prenatal and postnatal sessions. They also were introduced to a co-parenting unit. So the next program is a local program, and it's called TOPS, which is a Teen Outreach Pregnancy Service. They offer 24/7 dad classes, boot camp for new dads. This program also has a father involvement facilitator to assist new fathers. The fathers are encouraged to attend all the classes with the mothers, as well as go to classes specifically for the fathers. There are also support groups for both parents who are encouraged to attend. Getting more father involvement is an area that TOPS is working on expanding. They also do have a class. If they attend these classes, they get money, and they are also able to go to a store and buy items for their baby also. The TAP program is the most inclusive program in the Phoenix area, as it provides counseling, case management, support groups, mentoring, transportation, childcare, and the Apple Store where they can go get items for the baby. The TAP program is also trying to increase the amount of father involvement program, and this is still kind of a work in progress. They do not have as many father classes, but they are trying to increase that as much as possible. So what does the future look like for teenage father involvement? It is looking very promising. More and more research is coming out showing how father involvement is very beneficial to children as well as the mother. In the future, there needs to be more programs available to teenage fathers to get and keep them involved. We have seen some really good examples of some programs that are trying to make progress to incorporate fathers more, but we should really start focusing on offering more mentoring programs to help them have someone they can go to at any point in time, offering co-parenting classes, development classes, as well as counseling and positive communication classes so they can learn to parent with the mother and be the most effective parents possible. In doing so, there will be a reduction in maternal stress, which will lead to more positive parenting for the mother as well as the father. This will also lead to more positive child outcomes due to the father being involved and the mother having positive well-being. And in the end, we will have more well-adjusted children to go out in this world and make a difference. Thank you for listening to my presentation on teenage father involvement, getting and keeping them involved.